Alrighty, so the first thing I want you to do, I want you to turn on your calculator, right? And we are going to clear the calculator. It's written on the board up there in orange. I just want everything else to be reset. Sometimes if things get weird, the easiest thing to do is just clear it. So it's second plus 7, right, 1, 2. And you don't have to worry about what it says. Yours might take a second before yours says mem cleared, but and then your memory's cleared. All right. So we've done a bunch of stuff with matrices. I'm going to remind you of a few things that we have done by hand. So when we started matrices, and we talked about what they were, what the elements were. Remember our elements, if it's like A25, that's the second row, fifth element, because that's going to kind of come into play today. The dimensions, it's rows by columns. So this is a 4x2 matrix because there's 4 rows, 2 columns. And then we did some addition and subtraction. So if I just wanted to add X and Y, I literally just, no, that's not X and Y, sorry, X and Y. First of all, when you add them, they have to be the same dimensions, so I could not add these two. But when I'm adding X and Y, it's just 24 and negative 15. You just match them up. That's how we got that stuff. Okay, all that sound familiar? This is all stuff we've done. Then you can add, subtract, whatever. Scalar multiplication, just multiplying by a number. You literally just multiply everything in there by whatever that, 3x and 3 times everything. So we did something like this, negative 5x plus 2y. We had to multiply all that by negative 5, all that by 2, and combine them, right? Then we've also multiplied matrices. So first row with the first column, and you add stuff up. And obviously, the bigger the matrices get, the longer all that stuff takes. And we also found inverses. So we found the inverse by finding the determinant and then actually mixing up the way that the matrix is written and then multiplying stuff together. It's all kind of weird and convoluted. And honestly, unless you use it a lot, probably not real easy to remember exactly where to put all those letters, right? And so today I'm going to show you how to do some of this stuff on the calculator. Now, the best I can do for this is that this is the second year that we've done the college algebra like this. So all I know is what happened last year. I'm going to assume it's going to be very similar this year, okay? So all of the assignments, like homework stuff, practice problems, those were all on the computer. Well, everything's on the computer, but they weren't necessarily all multiple choice. You had to type in answers, but there was nothing where you had to write out stuff and people were looking at your work. However, on the exams, each exam had a few questions, had like stuff formatted like the assignments were, but then there were questions where you had to actually write stuff out and your work was graded, okay? And matrices was part of that. So yes, it's great to know how to do it on the calculator, which I'm about to show you, but you also have to know how to do it by hand because they're both going to be graded. It's kind of like the AP exam. You got to have both things going on here, right? Because I don't want you getting mad at me because I'm going to show you how to do some of the stuff on the calculator. And you're like, well, we could have done that from the beginning. You're right, except that we still have to understand the concept and be able to do it by hand. So just throwing that out there. Okay, so on your notes for today, that is not the right thing. Here we go. There's screenshots and instructions that tell you exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to talk you through it. I'm not necessarily going to read this to you, but if you don't remember, because I know y'all are not very familiar with these calculators, this will take you through step by step, and hopefully you won't have any issues with that. Not everything on this calculator is that intuitive. One couple of things I want to remind you of is that there is a negative sign and a minus sign, all right? And like if you're typing on your computer, the little thing we use is a minus sign and a negative sign. You could use it for either thing if you're doing Desmos or whatever, but these make a difference. So you have to use this for a negative number. You have to use that for subtraction. And then obviously if you want to get into any of the blue stuff, we're using the second key, which we're going to use a lot. But if there's anything else, because I keep reminding myself that y'all aren't very, I wouldn't say very good at it. You're not very well seasoned or experienced with these, I guess is what I'm looking for. But so if you have any questions about them, it's not a stupid question. Just stop me. I may not even have thought to show you something specific. But all right, so what we're going to do is if you look here, there are 2 matrices, A and B. We're going to go enter this information into the calculator. So here, if you look at all the little blue words, right below the black math key is the x to the -1, and above it in blue it says matrix, right? So we're going to do second, and then hit that x to the -1 key so it pulls up our matrix menu. And then we need to edit. So we need to put in the matrix. So we have to edit it first. You're going to arrow over to the right, and we're going to call the first one A. So you can either hit enter or choose 1 for A. Okay. Now, if you look over here, and I'm going to have to look at my paper too because I can't do both. This is matrix A. What? Did you not get this? No. Okay. Would you? Okay. Well, then I don't think you went over far enough. So second matrix, I think you were in math. Yeah, you were in math. So it has to be on edit up there. Okay. And then choose 1 for A or hit enter then. And then before we start typing, we have to say what, did you get that time? So second matrix, you arrow over to the right to where it says edit at the top. Then you choose 1 for A. Okay. And then you have to tell it what the dimensions are. What are the dimensions of this matrix? 2 by 4. Okay. So back here, we're going to hit 2 and then hit enter and then 4 and then hit enter. And I know you can only see 3 columns, but it's the other one's over there. But you see this 1, 1? That means we're in cell 1, 1, first row, first column. And so our first number is -7. So we hit the negative sign, 7. It still says 0 up here, but it says -7 down here, and we hit enter. And then it moves it over to the next one in the row. Okay? And so then that's a -1. Make sure you're using negative and not minus. 4 and 13. And then it'll drop you down to the next one. 0, 5, -6, -2. And on the last one, you have to hit enter for it to actually go up in there. Okay? We're all good? And I know sometimes you're rocking along and you are paying attention, but then you hit the wrong key and then you go back and it takes you a while to get caught up. So if we need to wait on you, just let me know. Are we all good? Okay, so now we need to get out, like it's saved. There's not like a save here, but look, I'm in the second row, 4th element. If you're like when it scrolls and you can't tell where you are, that's what this right here means. So to get back to your home screen, we do the second key again and then mode for quit. So we just quit that. It's in there, but we got to get out of it. Because now we got to go put in B. And the dimensions for B are also 2 by 4. So now we do second, x to the -1 or matrix there. You have to arrow over to edit. Now we want to edit B. So 2 for B. And then that's also a 2 by 4. And then put those numbers in. What are you doing? Why aren't you typing numbers? You zoned out. Okay. Okay, but you get, so quit. Okay, now go back in and go do B. Thank you. -5, 9, 24. -9. Okay. How are we doing? Are we all typed in? So I'm going to get out of there. Second, quit. Okay. So now what we're going to do here, well, actually, this was just to get it all in there. Okay. So we got them all in there. And it even tells you here, second mode gets you back to your home screen and whatnot. So one of the first very simple operations we did was addition. So we can do addition, subtraction, whatever. We're going to take matrix A and we're going to add it to matrix B. Okay, so this is what we're going to actually do. And here is how we do it. So we go back to second matrix again, but this time I don't want to edit it. I want to, no math. I want to grab it. Like I need the name of it there. Notice these are both 2 by 4. In order to add them, they have to have the same dimensions. So this is going to work. So we just choose the name, 1 for A, and then plus, and then we grab B. So that on this screen, it literally looks like what we wrote down just a second ago, okay? How did I get the B? I did second matrix, and then when it's in the name column, since I already have stuff, I just either you can arrow down and hit enter or just choose 2 for B. Okay. Wait, what? Where did I lose you? To get here? How did I get this? Okay, second matrix, and under the names menu, like I don't want to edit it. I already edited it, like so I'm not coming over here. I'm just using the name A. So you just hit 1 or hit enter. And then do plus. Yeah, once you're out, you have to hit plus, and then you go back in there and put the B. Yeah. And so here, once you're here, you can just hit enter, and there you go. So remember, if you were going to do this by hand, yay, we'd be doing -7 plus 3, -1 plus 5. Honestly, if I was just going to add these two, I think I'd rather just add them and then put it on the calculator. But the calculator will do other stuff for us too. But we added them up. So our first element should be a -4. Is your first one a -4? Yes. Okay, good job. Then we're doing this right. And then, so then we can just write our answer right here, which what we should have gotten is -4, -6, 13, 37, -9, 6, -22, and -13. Okay. If you got almost that, but one number wasn't the same, then you might have typed something in wrong somewhere, because that could totally happen. Okay. All right. We okay on that so far? All right. So now let's flip this over. Here we have 4 matrices, and we can't use W, X, Y, and Z in these calculators. I think it doesn't go that far. I don't know why, but it doesn't. But so we can rename them. Let's just rename them A, B, C, and D, because we know we can use those. And since we're renaming them A, B, C, and D, we got to rewrite this over here. So this would be 3B plus C. This would be 2C minus 5B. And then A minus C. Then here we're multiplying, so this would be A times C. X times W would be B times A. And remember, for matrices, B times A and A times B are not the same thing. 3 times 5 and 5 times 3 are both 15, but for matrices, it's not necessarily true. And then this is C times D. Okay, so then you can do one of 2 things, because we already have stuff in here for matrices A and B. And the reason I know that for sure is because when I look at even just the names, it already has a dimension there. That means we already did something with it. You can just type over what you have, and that's fine. But if you might lose track of where your numbers are. Sometimes I think it's better just to clear the calculator. So we just do second plus 7, right, 1, 2, and start from scratch. Okay. Yeah, it's up there in orange right there. Okay, so then I'm going to give you a second. Do we all know where to go? So once we do second matrix, I need to put stuff in A. Where do I have to go? Edit. Edit. Choose A. What are the dimensions for A? 2 by 2. Okay, so you go ahead and get these 4 typed in. It'll probably be faster than I am on this board. Yeah, make sure you quit when you're done so that you don't accidentally put a matrix in a matrix. This is so hard. Ooh. Y'all are ridiculous. Oops. Oh, see what I did? I didn't hit enter, and now 2 times a 39. 2 times 3. Oh my gosh, no. Oops. Goodness. Three by 4. Quit. Second quit. Oh, the same thing. Just second quit again. Well, because I used them a lot for years and years and years. This was all we had. Yeah, like. Okay. And if you have something on your home screen that you don't need, like I accidentally put D there because, well, you can just hit clear once you're there. But wait for everybody to get there. Yes, sir. Oh, that's because you're on an edit. You're just getting the name of it. Yeah. You got to arrow over. Yeah. So arrow over to the edit. There you go. Okay. No, you're fine. All right. And then I think some of y'all are already doing the little things, and that's totally fine. All right. So if you haven't gotten that far yet or haven't figured it out, I want to do 3B plus C. So on my home screen, I'm going to do 3. Then this time, instead of editing, I want to grab the name. That's 3B, so that's 2. Then plus C. So then I go second, matrix, grab C. So then that should look exactly like what you had on your paper, even though we didn't put the little boxes around it. And there's your answer. Okay. And then 2C minus 5B. Yeah, you can keep, like, it can stay on there. It's fine. It'll just scroll. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and write down what I got for these two. Any questions on 1 or 2, or anybody having issues typing stuff in? Are we all good so far? Okay. All right, so then I'm going to do A minus C. So A minus C, and I get that. So the nice thing is it doesn't just tell me like syntax error, just some like just error. It says dim mismatch. That means the dimensions don't match. You can quit or you can go to, but it's going to take you kind of to the same spot. When we look at this, we have it here, A and C. This is a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 3. When you are adding and subtracting, so if we're looking at A and C, in order to add and subtract, they have to be the same dimensions. So this is 2 by 2 and this is 2 by 3. Because if I'm adding, like if I put the 6 with the negative 10, the negative 13 with the 0, there's nothing to go with the negative 4. So this one's just not possible. So the adding and subtracting by hand was really no big deal. The multiplying, especially if we got into the bigger matrices, it was a little complicated. But we can just do AC exactly like it looks. And when you're here, if you don't like what's on that screen, you can just hit clear so there's not so much on there. And we are going to multiply A times C. Okay. So I need to grab A and I need to grab C. Now, A and C don't have the same dimensions, but is that okay? That is actually okay. There's some stipulations, but these will be all right. There's my answer to that. And with the big numbers, is like, I'm kind of glad I didn't have to do that one by hand, right? So to remind you, we're doing A times C. When you multiply these two together, you're doing a 2 by 2 times a 2 by 3. In order for it to work, these are the numbers that have to match right there. And then your result will be a 2 by 3. So here I got a 268. 67. Okay. So what did y'all get for 5? Not possible. And 5 is B times A, right? I did A times B. I got an answer. So who's right, me or you? I don't know. Yeah, you. Because remember, for matrices, A times B and B times A are not necessarily the same thing. Because I had somebody argue with me earlier this morning, go, what do you mean it doesn't work? Mine worked. But he typed in A times B. If I do B times A, which is what's really, I'm really being asked for, then I get that dimension mismatch again, because it's just not going to work. Okay, I can quit and then I can clear that stuff off. And that's because B times A, that is 2 by 3 times a 2 by 2, and these are the numbers that have to match, and they don't. So this one's not possible. Okay, and then here, if you do this one, this is what you should get. So make sure you get this. That's a negative 112 if you can't read it. All right. Are we all okay on what to do with all these? Okay, so then I want you to clear your calculators and then go put in C and D down there at the bottom. There's 2 more matrices we're going to do. Don't forget to go over to edit to enter it. Okay, so I want to remind you, because we're talking about inverses, let's look at what we did by hand with the inverses. So for the inverses, we had to find the determinant. First of all, that's our down minus up. And then we had to take our original and mix around some of the numbers and change some signs, and then put 1 over the determinant and multiply it through, where the calculator is just going to take care of business for us. So let me get back to those notes. Here we are. So we are here. And here, again, if you're somebody that don't have your calculator today, these are step-by-steps. It's the same screens that are up there. So the inverse is that x to the negative 1 power that we've been hitting so often here. We want to find, so what we're looking for here is C inverse and D inverse. So I got to go grab C. So I'm getting it from the name. So second matrix. Whoop, I hit the wrong thing. Second matrix. There we go. I want C, so that's 3. I want to take it to the negative 1 power, so I just hit the same button I've been hitting, but I don't hit second first, and it does that. Okay, and then there's C. Then I can do the same thing for D, and just take inverse, and there you go. And else. Oof. Here, I'll write them down because I don't know if I can scroll back up there. So it's negative 9, negative 11, 4 and 5. Okay. Any questions whatsoever? So all the steps that you need are all right there. I do want to let you know, in Delta Math, I assigned some of the, well, it shouldn't be the exact same questions, but it's some of the same assignments that I put together that we've already done, but now you're not having to do it by hand. Because of that, there is no technically calculator part in Delta Math, so the explanations will still show you how to do it by hand, but you can just ignore that and do what you're doing from here. Does that make sense to you? So like if you get it wrong, it's going to show you how to do it by hand. It's not going to show you the calculator buttons, but hopefully that won't really be an issue, and it should go a lot faster for you. Okay? Any questions at all? All right.